Message has been brought to you by the stations of KUAM.
You're watching Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz. Exciting show tonight. A good friend, Tim Rohr, is here tonight and helping me to clear up some of things that I'm confused about. I'm sure our viewers are confused about too, Tim. But anyway, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So last week, about Wednesday evening, of course, Holy Week last week, right? The KUAM was invited to come down and witness a mass. It was Chrism Mass, right? Chrism?
KUAM was invited to come down and...
Yes, yes.
So the Archdiocese called KUAM and said, come and witness our Chrism Mass. Okay,
yes,
so
yes.
It wasn't just a news story. They were actually invited.
Invited. Come down and listen to what the bishop
that explains a lot.
has to say.
Okay.
So we went. Pardon the audio. That wasn't our audio.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to bring our cameras and all that because the church supposedly has their own, and we understand not to be disruptive to the churchgoers. So anyway, Monsignor James was there. Father Paul Guffingham was there, and what I heard, the audio being very bad, what I heard was the Archbishop saying, "People make mistakes, and we move on." So. Has there been reconciliation, and is this, did that happen then?
No. See, people do make mistakes and then they pay for them. So let's say I steal from you and I go to the Archbishop and I go to confession. Archbishop, I stole from Jess Lujan. He can't forgive me until I do whatever I can to restore what I stole from you. It's called restitution. So for the Archbishop to say, we all make mistakes, let's move on, but meanwhile he has publicly trashed Father Paul and publicly humiliated Father Goffigan and has done the whole list of things that we're talking about, there's no reconciliation. I mean, the Church itself requires that we restore whatever we can to the damage that we've done, before that sin can be forgiven. So,
again, as just the ordinary person, maybe I know a little more than some, just a little more, but we were witnessing this, and so they were in the altar, everyone was there, so this must have been a start. This must have been, again, the olive branch that had happened. I mean, Father Paul was there, and Monsignor James were there.
So every year, called the Chrism Mass, all the priests can celebrate with the Archbishop as a sign of unity. So there's nothing special. There was nothing unique. Maybe they tried to position it that way, but every year during Holy Week, that happens. It's a standard. So.
Most especially down the Basilica, right?
Down the Basilica, it's part of Holy Week celebration. It's supposed to be a mass for the priests, the priests and the bishop, and it's supposed to be a mass of unity. But there's no special occasion of unity that it was maybe tried to be presented to KUAM about. Like we're doing a special mass and look, we're all together, kumbaya. And, so no, it was just a normal mass.
So let me ask you this, because I was away for a couple of weeks, and my gosh, I thought we had turned into, Gomorrah, Sodom and Gomorrah or something, and I was texting you, I think I was emailing you as well,
Oh, yeah.
One of our priests, Father Louis Camacho, I think it is, was arrested. And what I didn't understand with this, now, you and I think, are on the same page with this, that probably on the civilian side, on the law side, that there is probably no case because the age of consent is 16. That the Church has its own laws as well, that they're not. They're different definitely from the civilian law. But the fact that there was an arrest, you have to clear that off. Whether or not they drop the charges or whatever. Now you have a case here where Monsignor James, what he was accused of, from what the Archbishop accused him of. Now those accusations are really border, if not, goes into some criminal activity. And so where you have an actual arrest. We hear really nothing other than people make mistakes, and and so there was no. We didn't hear anything in trying to clear up, again, or clear up this whole thing with Father Camacho. Last I heard, and I follow your blog, he was in Saipan. Now I hear he's in Israel. Wait a minute, there's still an arrest there. Doesn't have to make an appearance or something? Or you sent out a FOIA to the chief of police. Any
No response from the chief of police, and we didn't expect any. So I'm going to see what the next step is relative to that. I think today was day 4. The law would have demanded that they reply by now, which they did not. But you bring up the situation with Monsignor James, and this is where I think we are sort of incensed. Okay, if the Father Camacho thing is one thing, all right, but the way that the Archbishop treated Monsignor James, where he publicly humiliated him and did a press release exposing all this so-called list of sins, damaging a priest in public.
And not just sins, but really on the civilian
crimes.
Side is almost crimes. Almost crimes,
basically crimes of stealing and falsifying and all kinds of things that he was supposedly guilty of, which he was not, and the Archbishop himself even knows, okay, that those things are not verifiable. But anyway, that's another story. But so we're just contrasting this with how he treated Monsignor James, how he treated Father Paul, with how he's treating Father Luis Camacho, where there was a real arrest. Okay, now we don't even have to go into what the crime itself probably was, which everybody knows anyway. The fact that, you can bet that if the Archbishop did an investigation and Father Luis was exonerated, they would be on the TV, radio, and everything, making sure that we all have it wrong.
They'll probably then appear in my show.
And they would appear on the show, and they got it all wrong, right? And but the fact that the resignation was accepted, and he was hustled off first to Saipan, and now to Israel.
Why Israel? What?
So exactly why he's there, I don't know for sure, but I can speculate this, is that every Easter week, or pretty commonly anyway, but usually the week after Easter, the Kiko Arguello, the founder of the Neo-Catechumenal Way, has his palace there. It's called the Domus Galilee. It's their headquarters. And this is where he wines and dines all the bishops and kind of shows off or whatever. So it's kind of like a big shindig, that they have there every year. In fact, that's where the Archbishop is right now.
Oh.
Right. So we do know that he was on a flight on April 5th, Easter Sunday. Didn't stick around very long. To Tel Aviv. There's only one reason to go to Tel Aviv, and that's to go see Kiko. So that's probably where he's at. Anyway, so they hustled off Camacho because, well, they just need to keep him away. That's basically what it is. But probably the plan for Luis Camacho is to, hide him in the communities, the same way they did with Father Wadeson. They're not going to be able to actually function as priest in real ministry in the diocesan priesthood, but they'll be able to stay under the radar if they stay just within these communities and shuffle around with them. So it's a whole, underground church, which is what we've been saying all the time. It has its own rules, does its own thing. In fact, we've caught Monsignor David Kittigwa, the Vicar General, actually manufacturing a baptismal record, which is a serious problem.
I read about that as well.
So they have their own rules and they do their own thing, which is.
Well, I can understand the under the radar and nobody's going to know. Maybe that was true maybe 20 years ago without the social media and all this. But I mean, while you're around, we're going to know where he's at.
Well, they weren't counting on me.
Okay.
I don't take any special credit for it, but I kind of always joke, I'm not related to anybody, so I don't have any grandmothers or aunts telling me what a bad boy I am for standing up against the Archbishop and stuff, so I can get away with some of this. But it's always just really been about exposing the truth, whatever the issue is. And, I've been the face of the anti-abortion stuff, and engaging the whole same-sex union thing a couple of years ago. It looks like we're going to have another opportunity. But it's always been about engaging the truth of the matter, and I have no problem with that. So in this particular case, it's engaging the truth of the matter. And
as a matter of fact, I got to go on a break, but I gave you a press release on the couple that that went to apply for a marriage license, and we'll make it another show where you and I will talk about it, because I know you were engaged in that. But let me take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about the concerns of Deacon Steve Martinez.
Okay.
Grave concerns.